transportation in the western theater of the American Civil War relied on four large rivers: the Mississippi, the Ohio, the Tennessee, and the Cumberland. If the Union could control these waterways, they could gain a critical advantage over the Confederacy. And they operated fleets of the Brown Water Navy, which were river gunboats that patrolled these rivers and assisted the Army with land operations. One example of this occurred on April 6th and 7th of 1862 at the Battle of Shiloh in Tennessee. Following the Union victory at the Battle of Fort Donelson in February of 1862, the gunboats USS Lexington, under the command of Lieutenant James Shirk, and the USS Tyler, under the command of Lieutenant William Gwynn, were assigned the task of patrolling the Tennessee River. Now, both vessels were civilian sidewheeler steamboats that had been purchased and converted into Navy gunboats. Both were armed with two 32-pound smoothbore cannons and four 8-inch smoothbore cannons. Over the next few weeks, the two gunboats engaged the enemy along the shores of the river as far south as Florence, Alabama. And in late March and early April, they also assisted in the transportation of Union troops to Pittsburgh Landing on the western shore of the river, a few miles north of the Tennessee-Mississippi state line. On the morning of April 6th, Tyler was at Pittsburgh Landing, and Lexington was 6 miles north at another landing called Crump's Landing. At dawn, Confederate forces attacked Federal camps west and south of Pittsburgh Landing, taking the U.S. troops by surprise and driving them northeast towards the river. Tyler went into action, shelling the Confederate left as the rebels drove back the Federals. Lexington left Crump's Landing and arrived at the scene of the fighting by mid-morning, but then returned to Crump's Landing to provide cover fire if needed for General Lew Wallace's infantry division, which was moving that direction. Upon learning that Wallace had taken an inland route to the battlefield, Lexington again steamed for Pittsburgh Landing. In the late afternoon, Tyler's commanding officer, Lieutenant Gwynn, received orders from Major General Ulysses S. Grant to use his own discretion in terms of firing on the enemy as a final defensive line of artillery and infantry assembled near the river. At about the same time, Lexington returned, and the two gunboats targeted Confederate artillery batteries, aiding the Federal land-based artillery and stopping a final Confederate attack before General P.G.T. Beauregard ordered his forces to end the assault and pull back for the night for rest and to prepare to resume the attack in the morning. At about 9 p.m., Tyler began firing periodically on Confederate positions to harass the enemy, and at 1 a.m., Lexington took over and continued the shelling until dawn. Now, while the overnight firing caused few casualties, it did prevent many Confederate soldiers from getting a good night's sleep. Overnight, thousands of reinforcements from the Army of the Ohio arrived on the scene, and the next morning, a Union counterattack drove the Confederates from the field. Now, both ships shared similar pedigrees, and they both engaged in service mostly together during the war. Going back a little in time, the USS Tyler was launched as a civilian vessel in 1857. She was acquired by the Navy in 1861 and saw service for 3 years, transporting troops, engaging in naval battles, and providing artillery support for land-based operations. The Tyler did battle with the CSS Jackson and participated in the Battle of Belmont. She also assisted Grant's advance up the Cumberland and Tennessee rivers, helping to capture Fort Henry and Donelson, destroying railroad bridges, and capturing Confederate gunboats. After Shiloh, the Tyler was sailed to the Mississippi River, where she participated in the 13-month-long Vicksburg campaign. Now, during this time, she probed the Yazoo River in search of the elusive CSS Arkansas. And on July 15th of 1862, along with the USS Carondelet, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, and the USS Queen, they engaged with the powerful ironclads. The Carondelet and the Queen were quickly taken out of action by rebel cannonades, leaving the Tyler to bear the brunt of the onslaught. The Tyler began to flee down the Yazoo with the ironclad in hot pursuit, and it made it to the safety of the Mississippi, while the Arkansas broke through the fleet and moored under the safety of the Confederate battlements of Vicksburg. Interestingly, one of the Tyler's last actions was to assist the survivors of the steamboat Sultana disaster, which was America's worst maritime disaster. In 1865, the Tyler was sold and scrapped. As I said before, the USS Lexington has a similar history. She was commissioned in 1861 along with the Tyler and participated in attacking the shore batteries of the Battle of Belmont, as well as the attacks on Fort Henry and Fort Donelson. After Shiloh, she also participated in the Vicksburg campaign, providing support to Sherman during the attack on Chickasaw Bayou. After Vicksburg, the Lexington, along with the gunboat Washita, pushed up the Red River towards Alexandria, Louisiana. In an attempt to capture a number of Confederate steamships, they steamed over the falls there and moved on toward Shreveport. At the Battle of Blair's Landing, the steamboat got into a fight with rebel cavalry, and this resulted in a rather odd battle between Southern small arms against Northern artillery, with the Lexington obviously inflicting heavy losses on the Confederate troops. This battle is also notable for the Lexington's use of a device composed of mirrors that would allow them to sight guns from safe positions inside the vehicle, and this was one of the first recorded usages of the periscope. And like the Tyler, the USS Lexington was also decommissioned and scrapped in 1865.
Okay, let's go through the rules. You'll have to, again, forgive me. I'm pretty froggy today because I'm still fighting some sinusitis and some bronchitis. Now, the game rules themselves are remarkably short. They're just a few pages, but they have some mechanics and some organization that aren't very efficient, in my opinion. For instance, things like the victory points, the stacking, and the CRT are kind of unnecessarily cumbersome. So I've gone through and I've tried to streamline those mechanics a little bit. Also, as I experienced with the game The Texas Revolution, the short rules can be both a blessing and a curse. The blessing part is, of course, you can read through them pretty quickly and get up and going. The curse is it tends to have problems addressing some fairly common occurrences during the game. So again, I've tried to fill in the gaps using the experience I have with other war games. So first, let's go through units. There's 5 types. There's infantry, there's artillery units, there's gunboats, there's cavalry, and there's officers. And if you look at the Union units, they have either a T or an O to indicate whether they belong to the Army of the Tennessee or the Army of Ohio. One thing you might notice about these units that's a little different than in most war games is you don't see a strength point or a movement point allowance on the units. And that's one thing that makes this game unique, and we will talk about it. It follows a pretty common sequence of play. The Confederate players go first, and the first phase is a player movement phase. They move, they record any stragglers, we'll talk about that, and then they remove route markers. Then there's a player combat phase where they resolve combat, they record the stragglers and casualties from that combat, and then they make all their withdrawals, routes, and pursuit movements. And then the second player goes with a movement phase and a combat phase, so it's an I go, you go kind of thing. And then finally you move the time record marker. Movement's a little different with this game. Each unit has a consistent number of movement points, so artillery and infantry can move 2 movements without an officer, or if they're stacked with an officer in their chain of command, they can move 4 movement points. Gunboats can move 4 movement points with or without an officer. Cavalry can have 6 movement points with or without an officer, and officers on their own can move 8 movement points. It generally costs 1 movement point to move into an adjacent hex, and it costs 2 movement points to cross a stream and or a ravine hex side. It costs 1 movement point to turn 1 hex side, and officers, gunboats, and units in column do not expend movement points changing their facing. It costs 2 movement points to back up a hex side. Now, units can always move at least 1 hex every turn. Now, a crucial point in this game, which makes it very unique, it's the whole shtick of the game basically, is that every time a unit moves at least 1 hex, it takes 1 straggler loss. That occurs on their strength point chart. We'll show that in a little bit. They do not incur straggler losses, however, from changing their facing. Now, as I said, officers double the movement of infantry and artillery units, as long as the officer is in their chain of command, and the unit is with the officer for the whole of its movement phase. So, basically, officers can't drop off a unit and then keep moving. As I've reinforced before, officers only benefit units that they command. For example, Grant cannot command units of the Army of Ohio, and Buell cannot command units of the Army of the Tennessee. Now, the Confederate Corps commanders can only benefit units in their corps. If Johnston is eliminated, as it happened in the real battle, Beauregard can be brought in to replace him. The game has a pretty cumbersome stacking mechanic. I've had to simplify it down quite a bit to make this playable. Like any wargame, friendly units can't enter the hex of an enemy unit. I say that there's a limit of 2 friendly combat units in a hex at any time. Now, units can move through hexes occupied by friendly units, and even if it causes them to exceed the stacking limit, and this is different from the rules, though they can't end their movement in excess of the 2 units per hex rule. Now, officers can freely stack without limit, and gunboat units obviously can't stack. Now, zones of control cross all terrain, even rivers, streams, things like that. And combat units, but not leaders, have a zone of control in the 3 hexes in front of them. Gunboats have a zone of control of the 4 hexes on either side. Now, units have to stop their movement when they enter an enemy zone of control, though they can expend movement points to turn in that zone of control. And units can also turn and leave an enemy zone of control if they start their movement there, but they can't combat during that round. Now, combat units can move in a column formation, and it costs 1 movement point to change from the battle formation to the column formation and then back again. Column formation lets you move more rapidly across the map. Units can change formation while in enemy zones of control, but they can't during routes, withdrawals, or pursuits. And units in column formation can change their direction without expending any movement points, and while they're in column, they don't lose any stragglers. On the other hand, they have no zone of control, and they can't gain stragglers back. Now, infantry in column formation without a leader have a base movement of 4 movement points if they use roads or trails, and if they're with an officer, they can make an 8 movement point move. Cavalry and artillery may also double their movement in column formation, but they can't use trails. And units in column formation can ignore stream movement point adjustments if they cross at bridges. Okay, let's get to the heart of the game. This is the strength record chart, and I've made a spreadsheet alternate to this. Now, each unit has a row of boxes on the strength record chart, and every time a unit moves, it takes straggler damage. You move the straggler unit 1 to the left. As the unit takes casualties in battle, it takes casualty damage, and you move the casualty marker 1 to the right. Now, the difference between the casualty and the straggler marker is the current strength that that particular unit fights at. And if there's no boxes between the casualty and straggler markers, the unit's eliminated. While the casualty losses can't be recovered, straggler losses can. So if a unit decides to rest for a turn and doesn't move, they can recover 1 straggler point, and you move the straggler marker 1 to the right. Also, routed units and units in an enemy zone of control cannot recover stragglers, even if they don't move that turn. Now, only infantry units can lose or recover stragglers. Artillery units don't have a straggler loss, and cavalry units are simply eliminated. Now, all units that are in an enemy zone of control must attack the defending player's units in those zones of control. So basically, attack is always mandatory. And priority of attack is always towards the enemy unit that the unit attacking is facing. Then the attacker has the choice to choose between the other 2 front side hexes. They can choose one or the other. If 2 units are attacking the enemy, they can add their attacks together, or they can attack separately as 2 attacks. Combat resolution's pretty standard. You compare the relative total strengths from the strength point chart of the attacker and defender, and you establish a combat odds ratio. You always round down in favor of the defender. And then after the combat odds are determined, terrain effects and facing are reflected by a die roll modifier for certain situations. If the attacker is attacking across a stream and a slope, then it's a -2. If the attacker is attacking across either a stream or a slope, or is attacking into the sunken road, then there's a -1 die roll modifier. And unit facing can also improve the die roll for an attacker. So you add a +1 if the attacker is attacking an enemy's flank, and you add a +2 die roll modifier if attacking an enemy unit's rear. Now, one thing I would note with the terrain modifiers, I pretty much follow the standard wargaming rule that if 2 friendly units are attacking an enemy, and one is across a stream and one is on the same side of a stream, then the effects of the stream are nullified. Now to help this process out, I've developed what I call the MAD table. It's basically a table of modifiers, the strength points of the attackers, and the strength points of the defenders. And I use this to help me through the combat. And I'll put a link down below for a worksheet that has these on it. Now, once all this has been determined, you roll the d6 and you apply the results from the combat results table. In the game, the CRT was a little bit hard to read, so I've kind of tried to keep the same results, but make it a little bit easier. Just kind of running through it here, you can see the odds on the top row, and then over on the left, you can see the column with the modified die roll. Now, with the results themselves, you'll notice that there's a number, a letter, followed by a dash, followed by number and/or letter. Now, the first number letter applies to the attacker, and then after the dash, the number letter applies to the defender. So, for example, if we have a 1-to-5 attack ratio and they get a modified -2 on the die roll, you would get a 3R/P. Now, the 3 indicates the number of damage points that the unit will take. The R means rout, and the P means pursuit. There's also a W, and that means a withdrawal, and we'll talk a little bit about that. So in this case, a 3R/P means the attacker would take 3 damage points. They would be routed, and routing means that they're moved back 4 hexes, and you place a rout marker on them. And the P means that the defender could pursue the routed attacker up to the hex next to where the routed unit ends up. Now with a W, like for instance, let's go with a result of 0, and that's on a 1 to 5 odds, you would end up with a 2W/P. That means that the attacker would be moved back 1 hex, because that's a withdrawal. They would keep their facing the enemy, and they would take 2 strength points of damage. And the defender could pursue up to the hex next to the withdrawn unit. You'll also see like 1W, 1W. That would mean that both units moved apart 1, and each one took a point of damage. And a 1-1 would mean they stay engaged with each other, but they would each take a strength point of damage. Now, casualties are recorded on the strength point record chart. If more than one unit is involved in an attack or a defense, then that player can divide the strength points of damage as they desire. Now, if a unit is forced to withdraw, it loses a straggler, and it moves back 1 hex, and it always changes its facing to face the attacker. If a unit is forced to rout, it loses 2 stragglers, and moves back 4 hexes, and a route marker is placed on the unit until the end of the next movement phase. And you always change this facing to face away from an attacker. You're going to have to spend some movement points to turn around. And units can always withdraw a route through enemy zones of control. However, they can't withdraw a route through an enemy unit. And these withdrawals and routes affect all units in a hex. Now, if the result calls for a pursuit, the player can enter all the vacated hexes and does not take a straggler penalty. So remember, pursuit, there's no straggler penalty. If a unit is eliminated in combat, the opposing unit can move into the space that was vacated by the eliminated unit. Officers can also affect the die roll modifier. And if they're stacked with an attacking, if friendly officers are stacked with an attacker, then the attacker gets a +1 on their die roll. And if officers are stacked with a defender, then the attacker gets a -1 on their die roll for that attack. So basically, friendly officers add to the die roll, enemy officers subtract. And also note that officers are susceptible to becoming casualties. So basically, anytime a natural 6 is rolled, the officer on the defending side is killed. Also note that if a unit that an officer is with is eliminated, then that officer is also eliminated. And if an officer is left alone in an enemy zone of control, they're eliminated. Now, artillery units are special. They're basically there to add strength points. They don't really do a whole lot else. And if they're stacked with units and say they're routed in combat, then the artillery units are eliminated. Also, as I suggested before, artillery units do not have stragglers. So every time they move, they don't have to remove a point for stragglers. Now, all cavalry units have 6 movement points with or without leaders, and they also don't have stragglers. Each cavalry unit has 1 strength point. Now, the whole point of cavalry units is to reduce straggler losses during combat. So if they're, say, stacked with an infantry unit that takes a rout, then the routed infantry unit only loses 1 straggler. And if they were stacked with an infantry unit that took a withdrawal, which you would normally lose 1 straggler, then that infantry unit loses no stragglers. Gunboats function as artillery, but they have zones of control of 2 hexes on either side and can fire into these hexes. Again, very rarely would you use the gunboats in play, unless the Confederacy makes it all the way to Pittsburgh Landing, at which point the gunboats would make life pretty miserable on them. Now, there are 3 night turns in this game, and what I would do with them is allow units to move but not fight. During the night, there'd be no zones of control, so units can recover if they are adjacent to an enemy. Victory points in the rules as written are an absolute mess. Basically, you have to sit down and figure combat losses, figure strength point losses. When I played it out, it took about half an hour, 45 minutes, just to figure out who won the damn game. I basically say that all units eliminated are worth a set number of points to the opposing player. Every infantry unit eliminated is worth 5 points, every artillery unit is worth 4 points, every officer is worth 3 points, and every cav unit is worth 2 points. So the Union ends up having 229 points, and in the actual battle there was about a 24% casualty rate, which is interestingly about the same as Waterloo.
And I make using these victory points fairly simple for figuring victory conditions. The Confederacy wins when they've eliminated at least 70 Union points, and there are no Union units south of the second day start line. And the Union wins when they've eliminated at least 45 Confederate points, and there are no Confederate units north of the first day start line. And those are those 2 dotted lines that are about 1/3 on each side of the map.
Now we'll get to the game here. Like I mentioned earlier, the game does run very long. So I'm going to probably show you the first 3 or 4 turns, and then after that, we'll probably start skipping some turns and running through it on fast forward. I'll probably come in every 4 or 5 turns just to explain where things are, and then at the end of day 1, I'll run through the night turns, and then again we'll speed it up and get it through it. So hopefully I can get this covered in about an hour, hour and a half. Otherwise, this game is pretty much like watching someone do taxes. Okay, let's get to it. Okay, we are set up here. I went ahead and set a game up, and I will go ahead and post the file for that down below. I've also put the combat results table here in the corner, and I use a little pin program for it. And then the order of battle sheets are right here. And I've put down the strength of each unit in one column. I actually feel a little bit better today, so hopefully my voice doesn't sound quite as froggy. It's getting there, and as I get to talking, it'll get better. But anyway, I've set the units up according to the starting instructions here, and I'm just going to go ahead and get started because this is a long game. So we'll start down here. The Confederates get to move first, and in the first turn, when they attack at 2 columns over on the combat results table. So in other words, a 1-to-1 attack would be a 3-to-1 attack. If they rout a unit, the damage that comes from the rout is doubled. That is for a Union unit. And again, this only applies during the first turn, and it only applies for the Confederate attack. So let's go ahead and get started here. Confederates get to move first. And we've got Chalmers and Withers and the 3rd Artillery down here. And we are going to go ahead and move them. Since they're with an officer, they get 4 movement points. So they're going to go 1, 2, 3, and they're going to attack Buckland here. And I use these little tags here, these little chits to indicate that I'm attacking. Actually, I'll put it on the attacker. Okay, we've got Wood here. And Wood, I want to get up and try to attack Hildebrand, but I don't think I'm going to make it. First of all, they're not with a officer, so that's going to create a problem. So they can only move 2 hexes. So 1, and it crossed 2 to get across the Shiloh branch, so they're not going to make it. Okay, Claiborne here. Claiborne is now this. I set this up, and this is a problematic setup. Is I've got 3 units here. I'm going to go ahead and move this guy back here, and he'll be in column with Cheatham. So we're going to say, and I'm going to rotate this guy just for setup. Okay, so they can go 4, so they can go 1, changing direction is 2, 3, 4. They could try to go up here, but they're not going to make it. I'm going to go ahead and try to get Hildebrand. I want to attack as many units as hard as I can this first round for the Confederacy. So even though they're going to be attacking across a stream and a ravine, they're still going to be able to attack. This unit down here, they're in column, and they can move, since they're with an officer, they can move up to 8, and don't worry about turns. I mean turning the unit. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, this is 4 because in third column they can cross rivers. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then they could turn this direction and go out of column. It costs 1 to go out of column, so they can make it. So I'm going to do that. And they're going to go in for the attack. They can make it in for the attack. And let's get rid of the column marker. Okay, this guy here, Stevens, under Beauregard. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now they can't move over trails, but they can't move trails with the artillery. So 1, 2. There's 2, 3. Yeah, they're going into a zone of control there, so they can't move up this way. So they're going to have to move here. So let's see. There's 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now they can move 1 over since they're in column on a trail. So, but they just can't do the fast, rapid movement. Okay, Breckinridge. I'm going to say he starts the game in column.
Actually, let's go with Ruggles. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. I better put these little labels down for attacks. He's going to attack. Move over to the other side of the board here. Anderson. Oh, and we're forgetting something important here. Let's go back. This is easy to forget, and it's important. Is every time I move a unit, it has to if they move out of column, if they're in column, they don't take a straggler point. But if they're out of column, they do. So these guys were out of column. Chalmers was. So they take a straggler point. And it is so easy to forget this. Okay. Over here, Wood was out of column. So they go from a 0.9 to a 0.8. Okay, these guys did actually come out of column, so I'm going to consider that a move for Johnson. So we'll make it a 0.8. And Gibson was out of column, so 0.12 goes to 0.11. Stevens was in column, so Stevens is fine, so 0.11. And then other side of the thing here. We've got Gibson tagged. Okay. Anderson can move 2. And Anderson is out of column, so 0.7 from 0.8. Bragg is with Pond, and they are going to move 1, 2, 3, 4. Put a little attack marker on there. They're going to attack Prentice and Peabody up there. And that was Pond. Okay, so Pond went from 0.12 to 0.11 because of stragglers. Takes a straggler loss. Okay, Russell. And Russell is here with Clark, and I'm going to say they're in column, so there's 1, 2, 3, and they're going to go out of column and attack here. Since they went out of column, that means that Russell will take 1 straggler point. And then we're going to move. I am going to try to, let's see, what can I do? These guys need to move, and I think these 3 guys down here need to move into this, into the west. I'm going to go ahead and move him in column here, but these guys, let's just take advantage. We're going to have to try to hit these guys as hard as we can. I was wondering about moving up and around, but I don't think that's, I think they're going to exhaust themselves pretty rapidly. Okay, now we'll move these guys here. They're in column, so they don't take straggler points. And I think that's it for movement. Okay, let's start figuring some attacks here. Get rid of these movement things. Okay, so our first attack was Chalmers on, and Chalmers has 11 points. I'll go to my mad table here. If you've printed some of those out, you can look at them here. It's pretty easy. So Chalmers has 11. Chalmers is stacked with 3 artillery, 3-1. Third first, so 3-1 as a 0-2. So they add 2 points. Now they won't take any stragglers because artillery doesn't take stragglers, but we'll get rid of that. Go away. And then they're also stacked with an officer, Withers, so that's a +1. And they're up against Buckland. And Buckland is a 0-9. Now, Buckland hasn't moved, so there's no stragglers. But they have 9 points. And they were fighting across this, I guess, ravine or ridge line here. So that's a -1. Okay. So essentially the Confederates have 13. The Union has 9. And the modifier is 0. So 13 to 9 is 1-to-1 odds. However, since it's this first surprise round, it's 3-to-1 odds. We roll a 1 at 3-to-1. It's a 1-1. So essentially both sides take 1 point of permanent loss. So we start with the Confederates here with 3-1. Now, so 3-1 will now become from 0-2 to 1-2. We take that off the bottom. And then Buckland will take 1 point of damage. So Buckland goes from 0-9 to 1-9. Okay. Next. Get rid of these guys. Okay. Confederates have Hindman and Cleburne. Now, Cleburne moved, so I forgot to put that in, so it should be a 0-13 because of a straggler. And Hindman moved, and I need to put this instead of 0-9, it needs to be 0-8 because of the straggler. So they have a 13 and an 8. They've got Hardy is your officer, so +1 for Hardy. Okay, let's go up to the other one, and that's going to be Johnson. Johnson is a 0-8, so that's worth 8 points for Johnson. And then 3-3 is for the artillery, and that artillery has a 0-7. Okay. So 7 points for that artillery. And Cheatham was the other officer. So there's 2 officers. For the Union side, I've got Hildebrand. And Hildebrand has a 0-10. So 10 points for Hildebrand. And then they've got artillery, it's the 5th Division, so that's a 0-2. 2 points for the artillery. Okay, so let's total it up. It's for the Confederacy, it's 13, 8, 8, and 9. That is 16, 25, 28, carry your 2, 38, and then 12 is for the Union. Okay, so it's 3-1 odds, but we're going to add 2 columns over, making it 5-1 with a +2. And that's a 4, 5, 6. So 5-1, 6 is a P/2W. So basically, we'll start with the defenders here, and they're going to withdraw 1. And let's, whoops. And then they lose 2 points. And so T5, the 5th Division, we're going to take those off the artillery, so that's 2. So out of the artillery, the 5th Division artillery had 2 strength points. They removed 2, so they're gone. I just put some little X's in there. And then, since they had to withdraw, they'll take a straggler point for Hildebrand off the top. So 0-10 will become, 0-10 will become 0-9. And I'm just going to move this, I just moved these over to the record sheet for the enemy. So basically this artillery that was eliminated, I'll just put on the Confederate record sheet for victory point determination. And I'm going to move this guy across the river. This is an advantage here. We are going to push hard with the Confederacy. Union's going to try to kind of move back with taking as few losses as possible. Okay, I think that's it for that combat. Oh, and then, yeah, the pursuit, that was it. So, okay, let's move to the other side of the board. That's why I kind of go, each turn I'll go back and forth from one side of the board to the other. Okay, let's move to this little combat here. Ruggles is the officer, so they get a +1 for Ruggles. Gibson is the unit, and Gibson has 11 points. Okay, yeah, 11 points. It's the 6th artillery for the 6th Division artillery for the Union. So they have a 0-3, so 3 points for the Union artillery. And was that Pond? Miller. Miller has a 0-7. Okay, so 7 points for Miller and 11 for Gibson. So it's 11-10. So it's 1-1 odds with a +1. But we'll say it's going to be 3-1 since it's first round. We roll a 4 and a 5 at 3-1. 5, 3 to 1. 1P, 2R. Okay, let's take care of the defender first. Actually, I think whoever loses the battle, I'll take care of first. Okay, so they're going to have to go back 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and you have to turn them around since it was a rout. Okay, there's our turnaround. Okay, and they lost 2 points of permanent damage. Is T6. Let's see what's 6th division. Okay, that was 3. So basically, the artillery will take up the damage. They took 2 and 3. Now, normally I'd say if these numbers here that I have are 1 apart, then the unit's eliminated. That doesn't apply to the artillery because the artillery doesn't have stragglers. So basically you have to have, say, the 6th Division artillery has 3 points of strength, and you have to remove all 3. Okay, put this guy back over with his other friend on the Confederate record chart and get rid of that. And we need to put a route marker. A lot of little things we have to do. And these guys, okay, so then the Confederacy lost 1, which they'll take out of Gibson. So Gibson has to take a permanent point. So he goes from 0-11 to 1-11. I hope this is kind of making sense. If it isn't, you're going to have a lot of listening to me natter here for... Okay, and then these guys can follow up on a route. They can follow the whole way up, and I'm going to let them do it because, again, we want to push hard. We want to push, and he's actually going to push him past that second day line, which is what we want. Okay, we get rid of this label. And we look at this little, who's this? This is Bragg and Pond, okay? Pick up my pen. Okay, so with Bragg, we're going to have a +1. Pond has 11 strength points. And then this is Prentice. He's going to take -1 for an officer. And Peabody is 0-11. So 11 strength points for Peabody. So these guys are 1-to-1 with a no modifiers. And so it's 1-to-1 goes to 3-to-1. We roll a 3 at 3-to-1. 1P, 1W. Okay, let's look at the loser first. And the loser is Peabody, so they're going to move back 1. Did I put a route marker? Yes, okay. And Peabody is going to lose 1 off the top and 1 off the bottom. They lose 1 permanent damage, and then because it's a withdrawal, they lose a straggler. So they go from 0-11 to 1-10. And then Pond loses a permanent point. Did I include that already? Nope. Okay, Pond was 0-11. Now they're a 1-11. They lose that point. And they can move forward, which they're going to do. Okay, that is the Confederate turn. For turn 1, we now go to the Union turn and see what the Union is going to do. And I think we are going to fight back. For now. Let's start with these two here. He's in a zone of control with the Shannon McDowell is in, and then they're fighting Chalmers. So they're in a zone of control. So they're going to attack, and they're going to attack. And Hildebrand will attack, and then Hare will move and attack. So Hare moves. Goes from 0-10 to 0-9 because of the straggler rule. Wraith can do a rear attack here. I'm going to try that. That's 1. Oops. Whichever direction I go, I always get this wrong. So Wraith has moved. So Wraith is a 0-9 to a 0-8, but going to try to take advantage of that +2 attack from the rear. And McClernandon, 1, 2, turn is 3 and 4. They're going to fight right at Shiloh Church. And move right in here and attack. And we're going to try to take this guy as hard as we can. Okay, move over to the other side. Prentice and Peabody. They could try to move back or they could attack. Well, they've still got some power in them, so they will attack. And this guy cannot attack. Miller can't because he's routed. Okay, Tuttle. You're going to try to move into combat. I guess I'll try to go down the road here to get to the west side of the battle. Now I can move 1, 2. There's 2 since I'm on a road. This unit here can move 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, they're going to move in here. I think they can because, yep, they can. They won't cause stacking problems. Sweeney, I'm going to rotate right. Nope, I'm not. I'm going to put them in a column. 1, and then 2. There, they can move 2. And this guy here can move 2. He can move 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And again, I'm forgetting my silly stragglers. God, I hate that straggler rule in some ways. Okay, Buckland didn't move. McClernandon didn't move. Hare didn't move, I don't think. Did Hare move? Okay, Marsh. We got to get Marsh down. 0-6. We've got Wraith. Did I move Wraith? Wraith is, okay, 0-8. He's fine. This guy's routed. How about Tuttle? Tuttle. MacArthur, 0-11 to 0-10, straggler damage. And NB, the non-brigaded, 0-10 to 0-9. They changed up to column, so Stewart's okay. There was no move for Peabody, and we don't worry about stragglers with the, what am I saying? The cavalry units. Let's go with column. Let's get the right columns on. Column. Column. That's 1. He'll move in, and then I'll say they can move 2. That's going to bend the rules quite a bit, but I don't care. I don't think you'll run across this one at a tournament, this game. So if you feel that the rules aren't quite fitting what you're trying to do, hey, if you change them, God bless. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I did move that one guy. Veach. I think I moved Veach, so he'll take the... But I put the other guy into column ahead of time, so I should probably have columns. The rule should apply that a column applies to the whole move, but again, we're just going to say things are a little wacky here. Okay, I think I've got everybody moved that can move, and I think I've got most of the stragglers taken into account. So let's start with the combat. We have McDowell and Sherman. Sherman gives them a +1. McDowell is a 0-8. So 8 points for 8 strength points for McDowell. And then Buckland has 8, okay, for a total of 16 Union points. Confederate is 3-1 for 1 point. And they're with Withers, so Withers gives them a -1. Okay, so the Confederacy has 12 points. Union has 10 points, or 16 points. So it's going to be a 1-to-1 and no modifier. 1-to-1-6. Well, that's not going to be too bad. 1P, 2W. 1 pursuit, 2W. Okay, let's take the... let's go ahead and take the losers here, which are the Confederacy. 3-1. They have to take 2 points of damage, which a 3-1 is going to eliminate that. Plus, we have 1 more point of damage that has to go to Chalmers. So we'll take 1 off the bottom for Chalmers. That gives them a 111. And then it's a withdrawal, so you have to take a straggler damage off the top, so it's a 110. So they went from 011 to 110. And we eliminate that artillery unit. Let's go ahead and get that. So we'll put that on the Union sheet. And then pursuit. And I am not going to pursue. But I think I'll have McDowell will take the 1 point of damage. Goes from a 0-8 to a 1-8. And that's it for that combat. Okay, got another combat here, and attacker is going to be Hildebrand. Hildebrand has a 0-9, so that's 9 strength points. And then also fighting in this is Hare. Hare is a 0-9, so that's 9 for Hare. They're against Hardy is the officer for the Confederacy, so there's a -1 there. And Claiborne, is it Cleborne or Claiborne? I'm sure there's going to be people watching this that are huge Shiloh buffs. They're going to correct me on that. So, okay, 13 points. There was 13 strength points for Claiborne. Oh, and then Hindeman is hiding back there. And Hindeman is 8, so that's 21 to 18 to 21. So the Union has 18, the Confederacy has 21, so it's going to be a 1-to-2 odds with a -1. So we roll a 2, and that's going to come out as a 1 at 1-to-2, 2W1P. Okay, 2W1P. So the attackers are the losers in this. So we will move them back. Now, I'm going to say that they move back. You can choose which one you want to move back. One of them has to move, but the other one doesn't. And the rules don't really delineate that too much. So Hildebrand was the loser, and they lost 2 strength points. I'll say both sides take a strength point loss. So we'll say 1 from Hare. So that's going to be a 0-9 to a 1-9. And a strength point loss from Hildebrand. 0-9 to a 1-9. And since they also had to withdraw, they take a straggler loss. So 1-9 goes to 1-8. So basically here went to a 1-9 and Hildebrand went to a 1-8. Okay. I think I got all that. Oh, okay. And then Chalmers has to take, or Hindeman have to take 1. I don't think I'll... should I move? No, I don't think I will move. Let's see. But I think I've got to take Hindeman. I'll just say Hindeman takes it. He's first in line here. So he takes a point of permanent damage. Goes from a 0-8 to a 1-8. Okay, I think that's it for that one. Okay, then up by the Shiloh Church, we've got McClernand and Marsh. So we got a +1 for McClernand. Marsh he's a Union guy. 0-6, so he's worth 6 points, 6 strength points. And then we've got T1, a 1st Division Artillery, which is a 0-6. 6 points for the artillery. And finally, Wraith is attacking, and Wraith has a 0-8, so Wraith is worth 8 strength points, and let's see, no officers, but they get a +2 since it's a rear attack. Okay, now then, the Confederacy has 3-3, and 3-3 is worth 7 strength points. So Cheatham gives them a -1, and Johnson, the unit there, has a 0-8, so they're worth 8. Okay, so the Union is attacking with 6, 12, 20 points. The Confederacy has 15 points, so it's giving us 1-to-1 odds. And then +1, +2 is +3, -1 is a +2. So 1-to-1, +2. We roll a 2, +2 is 4 at 1-to-1. 1W, 1W. All that for a 1 withdrawal, 1 withdrawal. Okay. So withdrawal means you're going to have to change your facing to face the enemies, which generally is going to be here. Oh, also, I need to remember if there's an officer and I get a 6, that the officer is killed, but we'll say that this guy gets moved back from the church. Okay, and then who's going to take damage? Johnson, Johnson, Cheatham here, 3-3 is going to take the 1 point of damage, so the artillery has to take the damage, so they go from a 0-7 to a 1-7, and then Cheatham is going to take the straggler. Not Cheatham. Cheatham's the officer. Johnson is going to take the straggler. Goes from a 0-8 to a 0-7. Okay. That's it. That's it. Yeah, everybody else, I think Marsh, did I include Marsh's straggler loss? Yeah. Okay. Okay. Let's go to the other side of the table here. I think there's another battle over here. Okay, these guys, yeah. Okay. Let's pull the label off here. So we've got Prentice, Peabody, and a cavalry unit. So first of all, cavalry unit's 1. Prentice gives us a +1. And Peabody is a 110, so that's 9 points, strength points. So 10 points for the Union. And then Pond has a 111, so 10 for Pond. And anybody else there? Bragg, okay, -1. So it's going to be 10-10, 1-to-1, and then the +1, -1 cancel out. So it's just basically a 1-to-1 roll. They roll a 4. 1W, 1W. Okay, Pond moves back 1. Peabody moves back 1. Now, Peabody doesn't take a straggler because of the cavalry units with them, so that reduces that straggler loss. Still has to take a permanent loss of 1, though. So Peabody will go from 110 to a 210. But Pond moved back 1, and Pond has to take a permanent loss and a straggler loss. There's not a cavalry unit there to help absorb that. So 111 goes to 210. Okay, and that is it. Get rid of that. And then anything else. That is it. I think that's the end of round 1. So we will move this to turn 2, and I'm going to get me a drink of coffee or something, and I'll be right back. Now we're in turn 2, and I think I got my turn marker moved up here. So we'll go ahead and move the Confederate units. Now, they're not going to get the advantage they had over in turn 1, but they'll still get to move. Again, I'm going to try to hit the Union as hard as I can. Basically, I think I'll try to get the Confederates, once they lose about 60% of their strength, they'll start to have to rest. The Union will just keep trying to make the Confederate units move, and hopefully straggler losses will catch up. Okay, Chalmers is going to go ahead and now he can cross this stream, and he's going to go up against Buckland again. And so Chalmers, this is round 2, so we have he was at 110, so now he's at 19, and then Hardy, he could move here, and then this guy could move. Well, that's only 2, so Claiborne and Hindman. So Hindman is going to be a 1-8 since we're not moving, and he can still fight with that at that kind of front flank. And then Claiborne is a 0-13. Okay, so these guys will move up against Hare. Johnson, move into position again to fight. Oh gosh, where am we going to do? I think we're going to fight against Hare here. So we'll put this for Johnson as a, was it a 0-7? So we'll make him a 0-6 now. And Trabue will go out of column, fight across the stream, as will Stevens. Now again, they don't move, so they don't have to take any stragglers. Get rid of these columns. Okay, now there's these 2 units. What am I going to do with these guys? Probably ought to move these guys over to their to the west. So Bowen is going to turn. Let's rotate left. 1. Delete, and Bowen is going to be at a 0-7. Okay, out of column. So I can keep him in column and go 1, 2. And I think I can move these guys. Okay, so we're going to move Stratham over here. Rotate left. Put that here. Keep him in column. And so he doesn't lose any stragglers. Okay, Wood. Need to get across that stream. Okay, so Wood's going to turn 1. Can't cross the stream yet, so basically Wood just turned 0-7. I could put this guy in column, I guess. I won't this close by, because that's going to leave me open. Okay, let's go to the other side. Other games have handled the column thing a lot better. Easy. This one's easy. We're going to fight up there. Now then, Anderson, 1-2. That's an easy one. So Anderson is now at a 0-6. Pond with Bragg is a 2. So Pond will get a 2-9. Clark with Russell, 2. And Russell will take a point of stragglers, so that's a 0-9. And then, let's go ahead and they can attack. And then finally, this column here, they can move 8. Where am I going to move? I'm going to move up here. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's equal to 2. We go out of column. 3 and 4. Can't really, this is a problem here. Can't really move into that hex because it's in an enemy zone of control. I'll move this guy up and this guy up. Now he did move, so Stuart will, I'm going to say Stuart goes ahead and takes a point. 0, 10. Okay, is that everybody? I think that is everybody. Okay, we can start to go through our battles here. We'll start again over on the left. And it is a Chalmers with Withers. And Chalmers has a 8. Withers gives him a +1. And my pen just gave out on me. Okay. +1 and an 8. We are up against Buckland. Buckland has a 9, -1, and 8. And there's a -1 because we're across a ridge line. So it's going to be 1-to-1. No modifiers. We roll it and we get a 1. Okay, 1-to-1 with a 1. 1W, 1P. So basically the Union won that one. So we'll start with the loser. Confederacy has to withdraw 1. And that is Chalmers. So Chalmers has to take 1 off the top and 1 off the bottom. So that's a 2/8. Okay, there's Chalmers. Now Buckland is a 1P. They can continue to pursue. They're not. But they do lose 1 point from the bottom. So we make that a 2-9. Okay. Oh, there's the kitten. Okay, now we've got Cleburne and Hindman. Was it Hindman? Yeah, Hindman and Cleburne. Hindman has a 7. Cleburne has a 13. And they've got Hardy with them, so they get a +1 for an officer. And then also with them is Cheatham, so another +1 for an officer. 3-3. 3-3 is a 1-7 for that artillery. So that's a 6 for the artillery. And Johnson gives him a 6. Okay, so that's a total of 20 plus 12 is 32. They're up against Hare. I think they're going to just mash Hare. Hare has a 1-9, so 8. So 32 to 8 is going to be a 4-to-1 odds, +2. Okay, so we roll a 1. That gives us a +2 is a 3. It's a 1P, 2W. So we'll take the loser first, and they move back 2. Or no, they move back a withdrawal of 1. Okay, so Hare takes 2 off the bottom and 1 off the top. We're taking 1 off the top of Hare. 8 and 3. Okay, so they've taken some pretty good damage. And then we're gonna rotate right and rotate right, since that's our P, our pursuit. And our pursuit was a 1, so I've got to take either Hindman or Cleburne. I'm going to take it off Hindman. He's a little higher here, so we'll make that 113. Delete these, and I think that's that for that battle. Okay, then we have this battle. Now this is across a stream, so we've got a -1 already. And we've got Breckenridge gives us a +1 for an officer. Tribute is a 0/11, 0/11. So that's 11 for Tribute. And then over here, 1/2. Oh, I should have taken that off artillery on that last attack. That's okay. We'll still be here. 0/2 for our artillery for 2 points. Beauregard is there, so that's another +1. And Stevens is a 0/11, so 11 points for Stevens. Take advantage of these scores while they're high, because they weren't going to last that long. We also are fighting against a flank attack here, so we get another +1 for that flank attack against Wraith. And Wraith may get mashed pretty bad here. Wraith has an 8. And nothing else with Wraith there. So we have a 22, 24 to 8, so 3-to-1 odds with a +1, 2, 3. 3-to-1 +3. Oh, I forgot that artillery, T1. First Division 6. Okay, there's 6 points. So 2-to-1 odds, not 3-to-1. 2-to-1 +2. 2-to-1 +2 is what we're going to end up with. So we roll. We get a 6. Now, there's no officers there, so the Union doesn't take an officer loss, but that comes out to be an 8 at 2-to-1 odds. And that's a P and a 1W. Okay, so they're going to withdraw. I'll just put them right here. And they lose 1. Now, I'm going to take the artillery to lose 1, so the 1st Division artillery loses. They're now a 1/6. Tribute will push forward across the stream. We'll get rid of those. And that is that. Okay. Now this side. Okay. This was that routed unit. I forgot to take the route off last turn after the Union moved, but we'll do that now. It's a rear attack, so we have a +2, and we also have Ruggles there, so that's another +1. And then Gibson with a 111 is going to be 10 points, strength points, and Miller with a 0/7 has 7 strength points. So it's 1-to-1 odds +3. I roll a 4, so it's a 7. 1P, 2R. So again, Miller is routed. Back 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And let's see, that was a 2 route. Okay, so we've got to figure out Miller here. So we've got to take 1 off, or 2 off the top, because that's a route. So we lose 2 stragglers. And then we take 2 off the bottom. So that's a 2. 2 off the top, 7 minus 2 is 5. So 2, 5. Put a route sticker on it. And then Gibson can chase him down. Okay, we are going to push him as hard as we can. So, again, he's routed. That could lead to some problems here. I could easily get... Yeah, let's see what happens. We'll just see what happens. Okay, maybe we can route this guy. That would be really helpful if we could route... And, okay, so Pond with Bragg. Okay, Bragg gives him a +1. Pond has a 2-9, so Pond has a 7 strength point. Clark gives him another +1. And Russell has a 9. So 7 and 9 is 16. And then we have a Peabody and Princess. -1 for Prentice. Peabody has a 210. 8. Okay. And then a plus, or a 1 for that cab unit. Okay. 16 to 9. So 1 to 1 plus 1. Rolls a 1, so that's a 2. 1W, 1W. Okay, so we'll move the Union back, and they were not going to take. They're not going to take a straggler loss, but they will take a damage loss. So 210 becomes a 310, and we'll move Pond back. No, we'll move Russell back. Okay, Russell and Clark move back. Now Russell will have to take one of each. One off the top, one off the bottom. So Russell gets a 1 and an 8. And that is the Confederate move. Let's just kind of take a look over here and see what happened. We did push him back quite a ways here, but again, I think he could easily get encircled. Okay, let's start with the Union. What's the Union going to do? I think I'll stay put here. Let's see, McDowell. Does McDowell have... Actually, McDowell could go across the stream. I think we'll do that. I think I'm going to move McDowell across the stream. He hasn't done anything yet, so we're going to make him a 1-7. And then Buckland, how much has Buckland lost? Buckland's still pretty good too, so Buckland will move too also. So we go to 2-8. And we will put a combat marker on him. Hildebrandt 1-8. I think I'll let Hildebrandt rest. So now when we rest, we make that a 1-9. He's regaining a straggler. Hare doesn't have to move, but he got 5. He's at half strength. Let's move Hare back 2. Now he'll lose some points, but hopefully what I can do, let's see, 3-7, is then I can bring Tuttle forward to 0-6, and he can block. Okay, so we'll have Tuttle move forward. We'll have Marsh Marshall rest. Okay. Wraith. Wraith still can fight. I think I'll let Wraith fight. And that's a question you always have to be asking yourself is, are these units, do you want to put them into combat or not? Peabody, 310, so 7 points. Let's let Peabody rest. That'll get him up to full strength, at least for stragglers. Okay, Stewart, I'm going to go out of column, or I'm going to move and then go out of column. And like I say, I'm using the rule that if I'm out of column at any point in a move, then I'm going to have to take a straggler. I just think that's fair. So Stewart is going to go ahead and attack, try to take advantage of a rear attack. Now my route guy, I'm going to go ahead and take that off. He's not going to move, but we'll just take it off. He can't move or heal up. And then I'm going to move him. I'm going to turn him 1. I swear I cannot ever get this going the right way. And there. I think that's Bloody Pond there. Okay, so the non-brigade will be 0-8. And then MacArthur got 10 points. Come on down and fight. Now the question could be on the rules is, since I'm fighting from a flank and a flank, a rear flank and a rear flank, do I get a +1 or a +2? I'm going to say I get a +2. I'm just using kind of like, if you play a lot of Ancients games, that's kind of how it works with facing a little bit on some of the games I played, so. I don't know, facing rules can be tough. I think they have to be well thought out. I like facing rules, but they do have to be well thought out. And again, this game doesn't do it. Okay, these guys here, they're in column, and they can go 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Since that's a trail, this guy's can go, is there an officer with them? Nope. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Is that everybody? I think that's everybody. Okay, let's go ahead and run some battles. Okay, we've got Sherman, William T. Sherman, and McDowell. McDowell has 6. And he's got Sherman with him, so that's a +1. And then Buckland has a 6. Now, since Sherman and his guy is on the same side of the stream as Withers and his guys, Chalmers, then they don't have to worry about the stream modifier. The Union doesn't. So we've got a 12 with +1, and then Withers is going to take off a -1, and Chalmers has a 6. 2-1. Straight up 2-1 odds. Rolls a 3. 1W. This is a war of attrition. Welcome to 12 hours of attrition fighting, where nothing exciting happens. Okay, let's start with the loser. We'll just say the Confederacy loses. Chalmers will take a 1 off the top and 1 off the bottom. 3-7. Okay, Chalmers has been hurting. Buckland will take 1 off the top and 1 off the bottom. So that's a 3-7 also. Okay. We're almost just forming a north-south line here as this goes. Okay. Delete, and delete. Okay, Tuttle has a 6. And T2, the 2nd Artillery Division, has a 0-6. So 6 and 6. And we're against Hardy. So -1 with an officer for the Confederacy. Hindman and Cleburne. That's a 12. I could be moving these officers around, and that probably would be a better way to play this game. But honestly, I don't want to spend that much of a headache, so I just keep them with the units that they're initially assigned to and call it good. Let's see, before I was griping here. Hindman and Cleburne, 7. Okay. Cleburne was a 12. Okay, 12 and 7. So 12 to 19. So it's going to be a 1-2 odds -1. We roll. Get a 1-2. So we got a 0 at 1-2. 2 route 1P. So 2 route 1P. So the attacker has the route. And we are just going to send him flying this way. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, move him around. And Tuttle, let's see. So Tuttle has to take the route. Now the route's going to be 2 straggler points for Tuttle. So that's a 0. Tuttle's now a 0-4. And that T2, the second artillery, will take the 2 points of real damage. So they're now at 2-6. Stick a route sticker on them. Do I want to move Hindman and Clever? Yeah, I'm going to keep moving them. Now I'm going to say that they can't pursue through Hare here. I don't think they could. I think that we could route through Hare. The friendly units could, but Hare would definitely hold up. The Hare would hold up. Okay, we go here to. Okay, First Division. Infantry or artillery has a 5. And Wraith has a 8. And they're fighting Trebuch. Has an 11. And Breckenridge is -1. Okay. So we have a 13 to 11. 1 to 1, -1. Okay. We get a 6. Oh, let's see. That is enough to kill Breckenridge. Okay. Wait, I got excited here. 1 to 1, 6. Let's put the thing down here. 1 to 1, 6. 1P, 2W. Okay, now we'll come back to it. Okay, let's get rid of Breckenridge. Put him over here on the Union. So he's a casualty. Now, the loser takes 2 and a withdrawal. So that's Trebuch will take the 2 off the bottom and 1 off the top. So that's a 2/10. He now has 8 strength points. And I'm not going to pursue. I don't think, again, the Union, I'm not going to be that aggressive. I think I want the Confederacy to come to me. But we did take a point. The point has to come off T1. So that's 2-6 for Wraith. Okay. Wallace. Oh, let's get you another sheet of scratch paper here. I go through about 5 sheets per game on this. Wallace will give us a +1. MacArthur is a 9. And then we're up against a 1-1 Confederacy, 1-1 artillery. That's 0-2. So the Confederacy has 2 points for them. They've got Polk, which is going to be a -1, and then Stewart has 10. Okay. So 9 to 12. So 1 to 2 odds. No modifiers. I don't think there's no terrain modifiers. I roll a 3. So 1 to 1, 3 is a 1 and a 1. So MacArthur loses 1. And that's 1 off the bottom because of that's a strength point loss. And then the Confederacy loses 1. They're going to lose it from that artillery. So they go from 0-2 to 1-2. Now, since it's an artillery, they still have a point left. It's not like the infantry units. Okay. And then I think this is one more battle. And we'll be done for the turn. Turn 2. Woohoo! This has been a hard video to make. I've worked on this for several weeks now. And of course, I haven't felt good, so. Okay, Stewart with a U. Union Stewart with a U has a 0-7. Okay, so that's a 7 points. They're going to get a +1 for attacking from a flank. Miller can't do anything because Miller was routed the previous round. The non-brigade has 8 points. And the non-brigaded artillery isn't listed. Okay. Well, crud. I guess I'm going to call that 2 points. NB art 0/2. And we will just make him that. I don't know. I don't remember what it was. I guess I could look right here. What am I doing? Non-brigaded artillery. Where are you? Oh, my goodness. 8 points. I think 8 or 9. 8. Okay. Well, it's a little bit. I do apologize. You are kind of rough there. Okay, 9 points. And we'll say another +1. So we have and then Gibson, who fell into their trap, and Ruggles. So -1 for Ruggles. Gibson has a 9. Okay, 9. 7, 15, 24 to 9. Okay, 2-to-1 odds with a +1. We get a 4, 5. 2-to-1 with a 5 is a 1P, 2W. Okay, so the loser. Now, you can move into zones of control here. It's not like a lot of the old SPI, Napoleon at Waterloo games. So these guys can be moved into a zone of control. And I think I'm going to leave those guys here. I think that's fine. I will say he can rotate. I'm going to let him rotate as part of the pursuit. Pursuit will be Stuart with a U. He will be pursuing, so he's going to take the... I'll have him take the combat loss. So 1-7. And then Gibson was the 2W. Okay, so Gibson was 2 off the bottom. So that's 4, and then 1 off the top. 4-10. 6 points. So Gibson's kind of hurting. Okay, there we go. That is round 2. Here we go with turn 3. Okay, the Confederacy will go. I'm a little worried here. If I were to get a rout, the Union were to rout this guy any further, it could push him off the board. So I am going to try to push hard against these guys. 4. I'm going to move over here, so that'd be a 1, 2, 3, 4. He can do that. This guy's going to go 1, 2. Oh, I got to get my buddies here. Okay, and let's pin that. There, that one's pinned. Get rid of my calculator. And where's my other one? Here we go. Let's pin it. There. Now you can see those. That's actually kind of helpful. That pin. Chalmers. Good old Chalmers. 3-7. Okay, Chalmers. You are now a 3-6. Oof. See, this is a problem. Is I'm going to sit there and I don't think I'm going to move. I'm going to let Chalmers rest for a turn. So 3-7. We're going to make Chalmers 3-8. Okay, and then Wood down here. Wood was at 0-7. Okay, Wood can attack, I think. Wood's at 0-6. And then 3-2. 3-2 is at 0-10. Okay. Got a really powerful artillery there. And then this guy in column form. I'll take 1 to slip out of column. Can't move any further because he can't cross that stream. So let's see, that's Statham 011. Okay, so he's stuck there. We've got Bowen. We'll move Bowen to 06. We got to move him into place. So there's 1, 2. That's his whole unit movement. Johnson and Trabue. Okay, let's try to hit him hard again. Johnson 05, and we will move Johnson into place here at Shiloh Church, and then Trabue 29. He'll move across the stream. And Stevens 010. He'll move across the stream. So we're on either side of the stream now. And let's go ahead and put some attack markers on. So these two will attack here. He'll attack here. He'll attack here. He will attack down here on Buckland. Withers is staying in place. Okay. I think this guy here with Gladen will come out. He'll move and then come out of column. Right here to attack. And I'm going to say that's going to count against him for a movement. So Gladen, I should have done it down here with this guy, but that's okay. 012. Oh, okay. He's going to be kind of tough on Wallace and MacArthur down here. Okay. That guy's been routed. Okay. Take him out of column and move him to. He can move. Oh, I needed Gladen. Did I make Gladden? Okay, Jackson 08 and Pond 28. Down here with Russell. Russell is 17 now because we're going to move Russell into place. So we will attack, 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 and attack. And then down here we got Anderson, 06. I'm going to let Anderson heal up, so 07. Take this column away. And I think I've got everybody. He can attack. Gibson was going to attack over here. I think I've got everybody. Yep, everybody's taken care of here. Okay, let's go ahead and start working our way through the list here. Get rid of the moves. Okay, Wood is going to attack with 6 points. And then there's also a 3-2 is the artillery. 3-2 is a 0-7 artillery. So 6 and 7. We're attacking across a ridge line, so that's a -1. And Buckland's kind of like Chalmers. They just keep going at each other. So 3-7. So Buckland's sitting at a 4. So we have 13 to 4, 3 to 1 odds with a 3 minus 1 is 2. So 3 to 1, 2. Okay, 3 to 1, 2. 1W, 1W. So let's see, he moves back across the stream, and that's wood. Turn 3 here. Wood 0-6. So we got to take 1 off the top. So 0-5, and then 3-2. We'll take 1 off the bottom. 3-2. 1-10. Okay, Buckland moves backwards, and Buckland takes 1 off the top and the bottom. So that's now going to be a 4 and 6. So Buckland's getting pretty close to being. If Buckland has to, Buckland's going to have to sit without moving, because if they move, it'll go to 4-5, and that'll automatically, the stragglers will eliminate that unit. So Buckland is Stuckland. Okay, going up here to Hare. Let's go with Hare. Whoop, come on you. I got too many windows on. Okay, Hare. Hare is at a 4. And Hardy is giving him the Confederacy a +1. Hindman and Cleburne. Hindman 113, so 12 for Hindman. Cleburne, or that's for Cleburne. Hindman is 1-8. So that's 7. So I've got a 12 and a 7 is a 19-9, 2-1 odds +1. We roll a 1 and a 2. 2-1 and a 2. 1 and 1. Okay, at least it's easy. I'll just take it off of Cleburne here. So 1 off the bottom, 2-13. And Hare takes 1 off the bottom. So that's going to be 4/7. Okay. Delete that. Okay, next one is Cheatham and Johnson. So we've got Cheatham gives them a +1. Johnson is a 5. And 3-3 is the artillery. 3-3, 1-7. So 6 for the artillery. So we've got a 5, 10, 11. And then I've got McClendon and Marsh. -1 for McClendon. And Marsh has a 7. Okay, so I've got a 5, 10, 11, 12-7, 1-1. And that's just going to be 1-1 odds. 5. Okay, 1-1, 5. Let's see here. 1P, 1W. 1P, 1W. Let's start with the defender first. Defender's going to move back. And that's Marsh. And Marsh is going to have to take 1 off the top and the bottom. So a 0-7 becomes a 1-6. Johnson is going to have to take 1 off the bottom, but doesn't take any straggler losses. So 1-5. Johnson, I think Johnson's extended about as far as he's going to go. I guess he could move there and force Marsh, but force March. I don't know. I don't think I'm going to. Well, I said I was going to be just as aggressive as possible, so let's keep it aggressive. Oh, I forgot 3-3. 3-3 here. Hold on. We're going to save Johnson the bottom for Johnson, and then 3-3, I got to take off that artillery unit, so it's actually going to be a 2-7. That changes things a little bit, but okay. Tribute is a 2-9, so that's worth 7, and then Beauregard gives him a +1. I've got Stevens, who is a 10. And I've got, there's an artillery, I think. 1, 2. It's 2 points for that artillery. So that gives us a 7, 17, 18, 19. And they are against a 1st Division artillery, which is a 4. And then down here there's a Wraith for 8. So that's a 8 and 4 is a 12. 19 to 12. So it's a 1-to-1 +1. And we roll a 6. Okay. No, they rolled a 6. So that would normally, if there was a leader there, the leader would be eliminated, but there's not. So let's go see what we have for a 6 here. 1-to-1 6. 1P2W. 1P2W. Okay. So T1 will take the 2 points of damage. Let's see. T1, 1st Division, 4-6. That's moving that up to a 4-6. We move him back. It's a withdrawal, right? Yeah, it's a withdrawal. And then Wraith will take the straggler loss. So 0-8 becomes a 0-7. And I will say that he is pursued by him. Okay. I mean, the Confederacy is definitely pushing the Union north here. You can kind of see how far they've come, but okay, next over here we got these two guys going against Wallace and MacArthur. MacArthur is a 1-9. So MacArthur's got an 8, and Wallace gives him a +1. The attackers are Johnson, so +1. I said MacArthur gives him, or Wallace gives him a plus. They give him a -1 to the attacker. Johnson gives him a +1, and then Gladden has 11. Though 1st Division artillery is a 1-2, so 1st Division artillery has 1 point. Polk gives him another +1, and Stewart with an EW gives him gives Confederacy 10 points. So the Confederacy has 22-8. 2-to-1 odds +1. 2, 3. Okay, 2-to-1, 3. 1W, 1W. So we will withdraw him 1. And we will withdraw him 1. Okay, Gladden will take the they'll take the straggler loss. 1-1 will take the physical loss. So that's it for that artillery. Put little X's there and ship him over to this sheet. Get rid of these. There's just a lot of little steps here. And then MacArthur. Okay, MacArthur, you take 1 off the top and 1 off the bottom. So 1-9 goes to a 2/8. Get rid of this and get rid of this. Okay. let's do this attack next. We're getting close to where the Union would have gotten, or the Confederacy would have gotten at the end of day one here. I guess they went a little further north, but... And the sunken road here, it looks like it's in the wrong place. It doesn't look right, but... Okay, we've got Jackson for Confederates. The Jackson has 8, so Jackson has 8 points. They are stacked with 2, which has 7 points. We've got Brigg giving him a +1, or Bragg giving him a +1. Pond is a 6. 2, 8 is a 6. Clark gives him a +1, and Russell gives him a 6. Okay, so for a total, the Confederacy has a total of 15 and 12, 27. The Union has 1 for the 1 for that cavalry unit. Prentice will give him a -1, and Peabody will give him a, let's see, Peabody's at a 311, so an 8. So Peabody's at a 9, so 3-to-1 odds with a +1. We roll a 6, not a natural 6, but just a 6. Oh, go away. 3-to-1. 1P, 3R. Ouch, that's going to kind of hurt. Let's take the defender first. Now they're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4. Since it's a route, they will move them, turn them around, rotate right, rotate right, rotate right. Okay, and normally you would take 2 points of straggler damage on a route, but the cavalry unit will reduce that to 1 point. So Peabody loses just 1 off the top, so 310. And then they lose 3 off the bottom, so it's now a 610. There we go, and we put a route marker on them. I'm going to say that he's going to be able to move forward, and again, Stuart with a U will stop him, and okay, he takes 1, so Pond takes a point of damage, goes to 3-8. Okay, take off. Okay, and then this guy goes. Gibson has 410. So Gibson's sitting there with a 6. And Ruggles gives him a +1 for an officer. And they're against Stuart with a U. Also a 6. So 1-to-1 +1. 2. Well, come back here, you. One, 2. 1W, 1W. Okay, so Stuart will move back. And Stuart is going to lose 1 off top and bottom. And then Gibson will move backwards and take 1 off top and bottom. Okay, so 410 becomes a 5, 9. Okay, that is it for the Confederate portion of turn 3. Let's go to the Union. Okay, you guys. McDowell. Is that McDowell? Okay, McDowell can do it again. I think I'm going to have McDowell try again. 1-6, and he is going to, if I can get a route, that would be awesome. Buckland's, like I say, Buckland was coming close to dissolving, so we're going to have Buckland stay there. So 4-6 becomes a 4-7. He's going to rest. Hildebrand, 1-9. Yeah, Hildebrand's going to move into place and attack. So Hildebrand goes from a 1-9 to a 1-8. Now, when I made these columns, I tried to make a Confederate column and a Union column. I'm not real consistent at using one or the other. Okay, Hare. Can Hare 4-7. Oh gosh. Probably be better pulling back, I would think. I'm going to do that. I'm going to pull Hare back. Pull my Hare back. 4-7 becomes a 4-6. Hopefully they won't follow. Marsh, and that's a full 2 points to move backwards. Marsh, 1-6. Marsh is still strong enough to hold himself, I think. He's got 5 points, so. Okay, we will attack with Marsh. I begin to think that any sort of attack is dangerous in this game. Wraith. I'm going to attack over on Wraith. I think I'm going to go ahead and move my attack towards Johnson here. So let's try to remember that I do that we're attacking Johnson. I'll just put a little thing there to indicate that we're ganging up on them. Okay, I can take this route marker off, but I can't do anything. These guys are in column, so they could move 1, 2, 3, 4, which they probably need to do. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, they'll stay in column. This guy's in column 1, 2, 3, 4. This guy's in column 1. Where am I weaker at? Two, 3, 4. We'll kind of come over here and try to keep that part of the line going. Okay, and then let's go over to the east side of the battlefield. Wallace with MacArthur. Why not? Okay. MacArthur is going to be -1. 2-8 becomes a 2-7. And then okay, Miller, it's Miller time. 2-5 becomes a 2-4 for him to turn around. Stuart with a U. Oh, I'm not going to do anything. I'm going to stay right there with Stuart with you. Sorry, you're going to stay there and get a 7. The NB, the non-brigaded, stay in place and get a 0-9. And I think that's it. Okay, yeah, everybody up here. Yeah, Grant hasn't come in yet, so. Okay, let's figure our combat odds and finish those combats up. Oh, we've got Hildebrand. Hildebrand is a 1-8, so that's a 7. I've got Bowen with a 6. Okay, 7-6, 1-to-1 odds. Let's roll it. We get a 4. Okay, 1-to-1, 4. 1W, 1W, 1 withdrawal, 1 withdrawal. Okay. He moves back across the stream, Bowen does, and Bowen's going to take 1 off the top and bottom. We'll call that a 1-5. And Hildebrandt will do the same thing. Move back one off the top and bottom, 2, 7. So I wonder if anybody's even watching this. I am sorry, this is kind of boring. I apologize if you find this. Some people, I guess, I've had several people comment and say, oh no, I like to watch that. I'm like, really? But I appreciate it. I really do. But I'm trying to at least show how the game's being played. After this turn, I am going to speed things up a little bit. So then people will say, hey, how come you're speeding it up? Okay, Marsh. Marsh has 5 points. And he's with McClernand +1. And then I've got Wraith with 7 points. And T1, 1st Armored Division, with 2 points. So 14 for the Union. 3-3 for the 3-3. So that's 5 points for that artillery for the Confederate. Cheatham, it gives us a -1. And Johnson is 5 points. 14-10, 1-1. 1. Okay, Union gets a 1. 1 withdraw, 1 P. Okay, so they've kind of lost it. 1 W, 1 P. So the Union has to take a withdrawal and a point. So T1 will take the point. We're going to have the 1st Artillery Division Artillery will take the point of damage. That's a 5-6. They're down to 1 single point. Marsh will move backwards. Marsh gets a 1-6, and they have to take it off the top, so they take a straggler point. Okay, Johnson will move forward, and Johnson will take the straggler point. Nope, they don't. That's pursuit. 3-3. They do take a point of damage. So that gives them a 3-7. And that is it, my friends. Let's delete those guys. I don't think we have any more. Was this guy going to attack? I forget. MacArthur? Or was he moving back? I think MacArthur was going to attack. Okay, let's go ahead and consider this MacArthur attack here real quick. 5 points, and then they get a +1 for Wallace. They're up against Polk, which is a -1, and Stewart with an EW 10. Okay. 1-2 odds. 1-2. Okay, 1-2 with a 1. Ouch. I say that, but it doesn't make it huge. These are all results come out pretty close. It's like I said, this is a battle of attrition. 2W, 1 pursuit. Okay, so the Union kind of lost that one. 1. We'll move backwards 1. And they take 2 points of damage, and they take a point off the top. So MacArthur takes 2 off the bottom, 1 off the top. 2-7, okay. 2 off the bottom is a 4-6. Okay, they are getting pretty close to being, they're not going to be able to move much either. And then Stewart's going to pursue. I think my brain thinks clockwise and counterclockwise and doesn't always think of these as right and left. I think that's one of the problems I have. I don't know whether I'm just dumb that way or what, but 0, okay, 1/10. They had to lose 1 point. Okay, there we go. Quick end of turn 3. Before I speed this up, let's just take a quick look around and see where we're sitting. The Union still held really well over here in the west on their right flank. They've really kind of held that one pretty well. They have had to fall back a little bit, and I would assume in the next few rounds they'll eventually fall back past that second day start line. Over in the east, they've held really well. I guess they've been moved back, but they've certainly had the Confederacy has had to press themselves pretty hard to move forward. I think that the Confederacy will pretty much run out of steam pretty quick here. So, okay, that's what I got at the end of turn 3. We'll go to turn 4, and I will speed things up. I try to make it back by about turn 8 and run you guys through that. So, okay. Okay, we've reached turn 8, and things are pretty much where they were where I left off. There's been a little attrition of units, but beyond that, nobody's moved back a great deal. I guess here on the west, we've moved most of the Union up north of the second day start line. On the east, the Union's pretty much held their ground. But the Union ought to start getting some reinforcements coming in, so that's going to make things a little harder on the Confederacy. The Confederacy's taken a few losses. They've certainly taken a lot of strength points of damage, and they've been able to finally push the Union off the far southwest here. So let's go ahead and get started here with... This will be probably a shorter round because pretty much everybody's going to be resting. You're going to see a lot of that. Rounds will get a little shorter in the game as it goes on, which is kind of nice. Chalmers, what happens to you, Mr. Chalmers? You're at 4-9. Move this over, and Chalmers was at 4-9. Let's move Chalmers to 4-10. Okay. Wood is pointing funny, but 0-6. Again, we're going to rest. And Stratham is going to go up against Buckland again. So we'll just apply this, and then we will move... Who is this? Stevenson and Beauregard into place to try to attack Buckland again. 0-8. Okay, up here, I've got Gladen, and these guys can continue to attack. Trebio, I'm getting around this is going to take a lot of turns and a lot of energy. Let's go ahead and rotate right and go forward 1 for Trebio. 2-7. We've got Hindman, and Hindman will wait around. And who's with Hindman? Claiborne. And then Stewart is 3-8. I really need to get Stewart turned around here. Okay, so Stewart's moved and turned. Going over for the Confederate west or east. Pond is just going to sit there and get chewed up, I think. I could move 2. I could try to move a Anderson. What's Anderson doing? Anderson is a 0-7. Okay, we'll let Anderson wait. And Jackson is in pretty bad shape, so Jackson will be 0-5. Russell can't really do much, but can Russell attack? 1-9. Well, that's not bad, so let's make it 1-9, and Russell will attack. And Pond will rotate right and attack. So Pond will attack. Pond is at a 5-9. So hopefully we can get Stewart there. Okay, we've got all our attacks. Let's figure out what we're doing here. Get my notebook. Okay. Down here we start with this attack, and this is going to be Beauregard and Stevenson. +1 for Beauregard. Stevens is an 8. And this little reserve cannon is a 6. And Stratham is a 8. Okay, so I should have 3. That's 8, 16, 22. And Buckland has 4. Okay, so 22 to 4. 5 to 1 odds plus 1. We roll a 5 and they get a 6, so 5 to 1 with a 6. It's a P and a 2W. P2W, okay. So Buckland moves back 1. And they're going to take 2 off the bottom, 1 off the top. So that's 7. To 8. You know what? Those are 1 apart, so that means Buckland has been taken out of commission. Okay, we move here with okay. Gladden. Is a 5. We've got Beauregard or Johnston plus 1. And then I've got Cheatham plus 1. And Johnson 3. Total of 8 with a plus 2. And then Hurlbut's a minus 1 for a leader. Williams and Veach. Veach and Williams is a 8 and an 8, a 16. Okay. So 8, 16. It's 1 to 1 plus 1. We get a 5, so a 6. 1 to 1 at a 6. 1P, 2W. 1P, 2W. Okay. I'll have Gladden take the bottom, and then I guess Veach and Williams will do what we've been doing. We'll take 1 off of each. So Williams will take the 1 off the top, 2, 9, and Veach will take 1 off the bottom, 3, 10. Okay. I've got a new kitten, and it sounds like the whole upstairs is going crazy right now. I don't know if you guys can hear all the galloping around, but... Okay, good old Pond. Up by Bloody Pond. Pond is by Bloody Pond. Okay, Russell and Clark. Okay, Clark gives him a plus 1. Pond has a 4. And Russell has a 8, so that's for 12. Clark's got a plus 1, and then Stewart with a U has 3. 3, 6. Okay, so we have a 12, 4 to 1 odds plus 1. We roll a 3 and get a 4. 4 to 1, 4. 1P, 2R. Okay, 1P, 2R. So Stewart moves back 1, 2, 3, 4, and they take 2 off the bottom and 2 off the top for Stewart. That's 4. That's enough to eliminate Stewart. So we'll move Stewart out, and then Russell or Pond have to take 1. I'll just say Russell will take it. So it takes 1 point of damage. 2, there we go, 2, 9 for Russell. And I think that's it for the Confederate movement. That actually, the Union took some losses that time. Overall. Okay, Union gets to go. Hopefully they can heal up a little bit. Okay, let's see. McDowell can't do much. Can't really move. They can't fight. They're only 2. If they do anything, they're gonna take a loss. I guess let's go down fighting. That's about all we can do. So McDowell is a 4/6. So that's going to be for 2. And what can they fight? No, they can't fight because they can't move. They literally can't do a damn thing. So they're stuck. Okay. Hildebrand. Hildebrand can turn to give us 6/8. Oh, 5/8 goes to 5/7. Okay. At least I can do this without taking a rear attack. And Hurlbut. I'm going to move Hurlbut around and attack here. Rotate right. So Veach and Williams will actually take one off the top. 2/8. And Williams will take, or Veach will take 3/10 to 3/9. Okay, so they're going to fight, yeah, and then 2/8 is a 6, and 3/9 is a 6, okay? And Bowen, they're against Bowen. 2/5, well, that might actually work. Okay, we may have saved his friends, so 3. Let's go ahead and see about Tuttle. Is Tuttle healed up? Whoop, come back here. Tuttle's a 0/6. We're going to make 0/7. The detachment will be at 0/4. And Lawman is at 0/7. So bring it on, boys. Okay, NB and these guys will fight against Pond. Miller is going to continue to is going to go at 2/7. We really don't have to move yet. Peabody. Peabody's going to try to set it out for 1, so 7. Oh, we can't. Well, he can, but 1, 2, 3, 4. Is there an officer with that? Yeah, okay. So Peabody's going to pull back 1, so that's a 7/10. And is that it? Okay, that's it. Anybody else in this round? I forgot to bring Alabama in. There we go. Okay, those guys are fighting. Those guys are fighting. That's it. Okay, let's see what we got over here. We got 14 to 3. So we got 4-to-1 odds. And we got a +1. So 4-to-1 plus 1 is a 3 at 4-to-1. One P, 2W. 1P, 2W. Okay. That was for Bowen. So Bowen lost 3. I think Bowen may be gone. Yep, that's it for Bowen. Okay, and then Hildebrand. I'll just say Veach loses 1. Veach will lose 1. That's my 1W, so we'll make that a 4/9. Okay, that's it for Bowen. And we'll get rid of that. This page is getting kind of busy. Sorry about that. We'll get things cleared up a little bit. And then, got one more for turn 8. NB is 04. And the NB art is 69. That's 7. Peabody is 3. And the horsey group is 1. So 7, 10, 11. And pond is 4. So 2 to 1 plus 1. 2, 3. Okay. 2 to 1 and a 3. 1P, 1W. 1P, 1W. Okay. So 1 pursuit. Winner pursues and the loser falls back. So pond takes 1 and W. Let's take care of pond first. Pond has 1 off the bottom and 1 off the top. So it's a 6, 8. Moves back 1. And oh, okay, the artillery will take the 1 point. That would be, which artillery is it? That's the NB. So that's a 7, 9. We almost chewed up that artillery. Okay, and that is the end of turn 8. So I'm going to go ahead and speed things up after this until we get to right before the night turn, and then we'll do a quick, I think I'll wait till the night turns are done, and then I will come back at the first night turn, and then we will run through the night turns and then do the next second day. And right before then, we'll probably see if we have some victory conditions. So, okay. Okay, we're going to turn 14. This is the last turn of the day. And the Union has taken some pretty horrific losses here. It's pretty much played out like the real battle, except for the amount of damage that the Union has had to incur. The Confederates have taken on quite a bit of damage also, though, in pushing the Union so hard. So if Buell comes in, they're going to be in pretty bad shape pretty quickly. Things could change. I noticed that on the points, the Union loss of points was 62 points. That was a Confederate loss. The Union loss was 85. So basically all that has to happen is the Confederacy either needs to push all the Union units back over this line, north of this second day line here, to win the game, or the Union will have to push the Confederacy down south of this first day line, right here, I guess. There's not much left of the Union. They've been pretty chewed up, so let's go ahead and we'll play this round out. I'm going to get my guys moved up here and see how things go. I'm not sure what's left. Okay, we've got the Stevens here. Does he have much in the way? I'm not sure whether they're going to be able to move or just have to rest so much, but we'll find out. Stevens has 275 points. Hildebrandt looks like... How bad is Hildebrandt shaken? Hildebrandt's at 4, so I guess we could go back against Veach and Williams again. Try to hit them again and try to knock them back. They are going to get a few turns to rest here. Let's do that. Let's move Stevens forward 2, and we'll attack over here since we don't have to... You don't have to spread attacks out like you do a lot of other games. And Stratham will move in. Okay, so Stratham has moved, and we have a 0-6. Stevens has moved for a 2-6. I've got this stray guy down here. I'm not sure what to do with him. He's open to being attacked. Tuttle. How's Tuttle hanging out here? Tuttle is 1-6, and Gladden is 3-7, 4-6. Gladden's really not in good enough shape to really attack anybody. So I'm going to say Gladden is going to stay put and stay with the 3-8. This little guy, I'm going to move him south here, so he's just out of reach. Move him 2 down to by Shiloh Church. Okay, that's it. Stuart. Four 7. So Stuart's going to have to stay out. Stuart's in his zone of control, so he can't really do anything. He's just stuck there. Anderson and 2-1. 2-1. 2-1 is pretty useless. I tell you what we're going to do is we're going to rotate right and move Anderson without that artillery unit. We're going to leave the artillery unit down there. And so Anderson's going to go to 0-6. And he will attack. Those guys will attack together. They attack across the stream, but that's okay. What happened to my game? Come back. And Russell will move into place and attack also. 4-9. And Pond. What's Pond up to? 7-12. Okay, Pond has to move. 1. We'll move, rotate right. Okay, so Pond is moved. 7-11. And Jackson. 0-7. Jackson's going to move up with Pond, and they're going to kind of work together here. Okay, that's it for the Confederates for the day. Oh, okay, this guy, Wood. I think Wood's going to be at a 0-8. We'll just leave Wood alone down there. Now I think Wood can't be stacked with anybody. We really lost a lot of the leadership here. Okay, let's do some fighting. Okay, they've got a Kentucky. That's going to be a 1. They've got Beauregard giving him a +1, and Stevens has a 4. Withers is a +1. A +1 or a 1 for that cavalry, and Chalmers 5-9. 4 points, and then finally the reserve artillery. 4 points for the reserve artillery, and Stratham gives them a 6 points. So they've got a 6, 10, 11, 12, 20. The Confederacy has Veach and Williams, which is a 4, and Williams is a 3. So that's 7. 2-to-1 odds plus 2. 2-to-1 plus 2. Okay. We roll a 2. We get that's a 4. So let's find our CRT. 2-to-1 and 4. 1W, 1P. Okay, so the Union moves back 1. They're going to take 1 off the top, 1 off the bottom. I'll just say Williams will take 1 off the top, putting him at 5-7, and then Veach will take 1 off the bottom, putting him at 7-10. The Union does not take any straggler damage. However, they will take a damage for the reserves. Reserves are now at 3-6, slowly getting whittled down. Okay, that's that battle. You can kind of see how far the Union's been pushed back here. And over on the other side of the board, we've got Anderson and Stewart fighting together. 6 and 3. Did I get Stewart? Okay. 6 and 3 is 9 for the attack. And then also they're going to be attacking Clark and Russell. Now Russell gets a +1 and Clark adds a +1, so +2 because of facing. And Russell has 5. $14, okay. And then Wallace with Tuttle. 5, 6, okay, -1. So we have a +2 and we have a 9 and a 5. That's a 14 to 6. So 2-to-1 plus 1. No, plus 2. 2-to-1 plus 2, okay. We get a 4, 6 at 2-to-1 odds. 1P, 2R. Okay, that's going to hurt. So he is going to go back 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And move him around. Rotate right, rotate right. Now it's a rout, so that Thayer is going to lose. Initially, wouldn't normally lose 2 stragglers, but they're going to only lose 1, but they're going to take 2 off the bottom. So 2 off the bottom, 1 off the top for Thayer. Put him at 3-6. Put a route marker on him. And then I'm going to go ahead and move this guy up here. I'm going to say he can't go through that zone of control. But that's okay. He's going to whoop up on him pretty badly here pretty quick. And then I'm going to just say Anderson or Stewart. One has to take some damage. We'll just say Anderson takes 1. Okay, and that is it. We'll get rid of those and delete. Okay, now the Union gets to go. I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I can at least shore up Hildebrand. He'll just have to stay put. Tuttle, what's Tuttle looking like? Tuttle looks like a 1-6. Let's get Tuttle up to 1-7. Sweeney will get to be a 2-10. These guys will attack. Let's go ahead and attack here. And over here, Smith, and who's Smith with? Smith's with Lanham. Okay, these guys are fresh, so I'm going to say they go out of return left. They're going to go ahead and come out of column. And we'll just say Smith takes the and Llama. Somehow I got the wrong guy here. Okay. Yep, I've messed that up. Okay, this should be Lawman. 0. No, wait, he got back with him. I know what happened. Okay. We're going to say 0. We'll just give him a 4. We'll say somewhere along the line he healed up a little bit. I don't know. Sorry about that. Okay, we've got 2 little fights here, and then this guy's going to go back. I don't want him to be attacked. 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to just move him out. This guy is going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. Does he have a... Nope. Okay. And then this guy's coming in at Pittsburgh Landing. 1, 2, 3, 4. We'll just move it forward. Well, I guess he's in column. We'll just say he's in column and move him there. I was kind of hoping we get these up close where the Lexington and the Tyler would get to fight in that time, but I don't think we're going to get there. Okay, last fight of the day. We're going to be right here on Chalmers. I'm glad the rules don't have you mandatory attacks. It's kind of nice just in this sort of game. I think certain games mandatory attacks can be great, but sometimes I think they can get kind of to be too much, and basically you just watch everybody tear themselves apart, but it takes away some of the fun of the game. Okay, we got 1 for that cavalry unit. I got Hildebrand is 5-9. That's a 4. I've got Veach and Williams. Williams is going to be a 5-7. This is pretty just desperate fighting down here. And 7-10. So 5 points for those guys. That gives us a 10. For the Confederates, I've got a -1 for Withers. I've got Chalmers being worth 4, and then 1 for that cab, so 5. 2-to-1 odds, -1. 2-to-1, -1. I roll a 6. Okay, 6. And that comes out to be a 5, a 1P. 2W, but we have an officer, so Withers was killed. Withers is gone, and 1P, 2W, so the loser's going to go back 1. They don't have to take a straggler loss, but they do take 2. Chalmers takes 2. 7-9. Okay. And then I'm going to say Veach and Williams, they're going to stay put. We'll say Williams can't really take the 1. Veach will have to take it. 8-10. Okay. Now then, I think we've got one more battle over here. Is that right? Yep. Lahman and Smith. Okay, let's get Smith and Lahman. 7 for Smith. Lahman is worth 4, so we'll say 11 to Clark, gives him a -1, and Russell has 5. Yeah, 5. Okay, 2 to 1, -1. We get a 1. 2 to 1, 1. 1W, 1W. More attrition. Okay. They both have to move back 1. I'll just say Smith takes the... Smith will take them both. I think we'll let Smith take both, one off the top and one off the bottom. So that's a 1-6. And then Russell has to take a 1 and a 1. Russell goes from a 4-9 to a 5-8. And that is the end of the day. We will move on to night turns. See how everybody's done there. I think, again, the Union's hanging on, but just by a thread. This will change here, though, pretty quickly, I think. Okay, up at P2, let's go ahead and our... I just lost my CRT. That's okay. Bring our 47th in down at the bottom. On the Western Corinth Road. And then let's... Buell and his boys are coming in. Be in column form. And let's put a column down here on these guys so they can move into action. Okay, everybody is in column form. Everybody's in. Now I just need to go through and I can move or I can rest. Let's start over here. Hildebrand. Well, I don't want to move back too far. If I do, I'm going to say Hildebrand. I'm going to say you can also, if you're resting, you can rest in the zone of control. There's no zones of control at night, so rest up. Hildebrand. He's going to stay in the same spot. And so he goes with a 5-10. Williams and Veach. 5-8. 8-11. I needed to move the Confederacy first, but that's okay. Tuttle. 1-8. Sweeney 2-11. Okay, this guy we'll just say he can move his 2. 1, 2, or 1, 2. Not sure what to do with this guy here. Smith. What about Smith? 1-6. I'll say Smith will stay in space. I know what I'll do. I'm going to split these guys out. I'll move him here. Okay, 1. Those guys move. Thayer. Where was Thayer at? Thayer was at 3-6, so 3-6, 3-7. Thayer's back to that, and then Smith and Lawman, 0-5. That's it for the stragglers there. Sweeney, did I get him? Okay, there's all the Union. Now we'll come back to them. Let's do a Confederate. Stevens. (2-6) goes to 2-7. Chalmers is 7-10. And Statham is 7. Gladden is 3-9. Jackson and Pond. Let's give Jackson and Pond 1. 0-8. And Pond is 7-12. Okay. Russell is 5-9. And Stewart and Anderson are going to take 1. So 1-7. And Stewart will be a 4-8. Okay. So that is the end of the first night turn. I'm going to go ahead and do the other 2 night turns quickly, kind of do the same thing here. I may move these guys around just a little bit, but they're both basically going to spend their time resting. And I'm going to try to take the 2 turns and put them into 1, but I'm going to zip through that so you guys don't have to sit here and belabor it. Okay, I'm back. The night is over. The sun's come up, and reinforcements are coming in from the north. The Union's been able to regroup a little bit. They've pushed kind of hard down into Ree's Farm. I think I want to keep them down there so that they will be harder if there's a rout on Sweeney. They won't be pushed back north of the line. Now, with routes, I think the way the rules probably ought to be for that is a routed unit ought to head to its friendly side. So basically, most routes of a Union unit must move north or in a northerly direction, and the south must move in a southerly direction. I think the rules say that the unit that wins the battle gets to choose the route of the route. But I think generally that ought to be done so you can't like send people into some kind of wonky situation. So, okay. So we are now good. Everybody, I think, has been replenished a little bit. So let's go ahead and run a couple turns here. I imagine that once these fresh Union units get down here, they'll begin to push the south back quite a bit. I do need to work on, let's see, I think I need to work on eliminating some of these over on the west. So, okay, let's see what we can do here. And we will start with the Confederate units here. Stevens will attack. We're going to just continue this little battle down here. And this guy doesn't really have a place to go. I guess we could move them, rotate right and 1. So Wood will move. I guess Wood will move Wood. And so that makes a 0-8 for Wood. Okay, there we go. That looks better. Stratham will attack. These guys will attack. Johnson will attack. And then Jackson and Clark, and then Pond will move. So Jackson moved and Clark moved, or let's see, Jackson was 0-8, 0-7. And Clark and Russell 0-7. And I think Stewart and Anderson will move this way. They'll continue to move. So Stewart and Anderson will go 0-7. And Stewart 4-9. Did I move Jackson? Okay, Jackson's moved. And Pond moved. Pond did not move. Okay. Pond's at a 7-12. Actually, that'll be a 7-11. I should have put that in there. So Pond moves 2. And we have a battle here, a battle here, a battle here. We've got quite a bit going on this round. Turn. Okay, let's go ahead and start figuring up some. Oh, I lost my CRT again. Come back. There you are. Okay. We've got 1 here for the Kentucky group. Oh, and those guys got to move. I forgot to move these guys. 2, 3, 4. Yeah, okay. And then Stevens gets to go. Stevens is a 2-9. So 7 and 1. And Beauregard is one of our few. We've got just a few leaders left. So we got an 8 plus 1. And then the Confederacy has Hildebrand. God, these guys have seen action this whole game. 5-10. And a Cav, so 5, they got 6. So 8-6 plus 1, 1-1, 5-6. Come back, CRT. Where'd you go? There you are. Having a hard time with these guys today. What do I say? 1-1, 6. 1P, 2W. And so with the 1P, 2W, we've got a withdrawal of the Union forces, and Hildebrand will take it in. Hildebrand gets a 6-9. And then Stevens gets the 1P. So Stevens is a 2-9. And we change that to a 3-9. Delete that. And then Chalmers is got a 1 for the Tennessee Cav. Chalmers is a 4 points. So we got a total of 5 points against Williams and Veach. And Veach is 8-11. So 3 and 5 is 8. 5 to 8. 1 to 2 odds. They roll a 5. Oh, I didn't pin this guy. That's what's going on. I couldn't figure out why is this getting so wonky. There. This little pinning program is kind of nice. Okay, 5 to 8, and I rolled a 5. Plus 1. Nope, they don't get a plus 1. 1 to 2 odds. 5. 1 to 2. Get your head together here. 1W, 1W. Okay, so again, Veach and we'll just say Williams. I'm going to say Williams takes it, both of them. So Williams now is at a 6-9. And Chalmers doesn't have to take a straggler loss, but they do have to take a normal loss. Chalmers is now at an 8-11. Okay. Oh, and I didn't include Statham, and so okay, easy to forget. I forgot that one, so we will just chalk that up to experience. They were sitting there twiddling their thumbs the whole time. Okay, Johnston and Gladden. Gladden is a 3-9 for 6 points. Johnston adds a plus 1, and the Cav adds a 1. So 7 points with a plus 1 for the Confederacy. And T2, 2nd Division. Let's see what 2nd Division's sitting at right now. 2nd Division's sitting at a 3-6. So 3 points for 2nd Division Artillery. And Tuttle 1-8-7. Okay, so they've got 10. So it's 7 to 10 with a plus 1. Not an 18. Okay, 7 to 10. So 1 to 2 plus 1. 5, 6. Okay. 1P, 1W. They withdraw 1. Tuttle does. T2 will take the 1 point of permanent damage, and then Tuttle will take 1 off the top. Okay, and Gladden will take his 1 point. 4-9. Delete that. Okay, let's check the other side of the battlefield. I've got Jackson fighting. Jackson is 7 points. And then 2-1 artillery. Where's 2-1? Let's see. I haven't used artillery in a while here. 2-1, 1-2. Okay, they have 1 point. Okay, and then they're against Buell. Buell gives the Union plus 1. There's a Cav unit in there for 1, and then Hazen, 0-8. Okay. Confederacy's fighting against some kind of longer odds here. So 7 to 9. So 1 to 2 with a plus 1. We get a 5-6. So 1 to 2 with a 6. 1P, 1W. Seem to get a rash of those. Okay, we'll move them back. The Union moves back. They do not have to take a straggler loss, but Hazen takes one off the bottom. 1-8. And then Jackson will go ahead and cross over the stream. Oh, I didn't include that -1. Okay. Jackson's has to take 1, so that gets rid of that artillery unit. And that's it. Okay, and then I've got Clark and Russell. Russell has a 511, so 6. Clark adds a +1 to it for an officer. We are fighting from a rear flank, so Bruce, they get another +1. And then Bruce has a 8 points. So 6 to 8. So basically it's going to be 1 to 2 +2. We roll a 6. Oh, okay, that gets rid of Nelson. 1 to 2 +6, 7, 8. 1P, 2R. Okay, let's look at the Union losses with this one. First of all, Nelson has been eliminated. There are just no officers left. Okay. And then this guy's got to go back 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then, let's see, what else with Bruce? It was a 2R? Yeah, 2R. So Bruce takes 2 off the bottom and 2 off the top. So he gets a 2, 6, rotate right, rotate right, rotate right. Put a route sticker on him. Call it good. And then Russell will take 1 off the bottom. 6. Now these turn markers on the top of this table are off by 1. This should be turn 1, but that's okay. If we make it to 14 turns in this without me driving myself bonkers, we'll be doing something miraculous. Okay, Stewart and Anderson. Anderson has a 7, and Stewart has a 5. So 13 to Wallace is a -1. 1 point for the Cav and Thayer. (3-9). Okay, 3-9-6. Okay. So 14 to 6 is 2 to 1 odds -1. We roll a 1, 2 to 1, 1, 1W, 1W. Okay. Now, if he would have been up here, he would have actually been in the range of the Lexington to bombard across there, but I'm not going to move into that. Okay, Thayer does not lose any stragglers, but they do lose a point off the bottom. That's a 4-9. And Stewart loses 1 off of each side. Or Anderson. Let's see, whoever's the highest. We'll say Stewart, 4-9 versus 0-7. Well, we'll say Anderson does. So Anderson loses 1 off the bottom and 1 off the top. So 1-6. Delete. Okay, that is it for turn 1. First day's turn of the second day's turn. I'm sorry, second day, turn 1. Nope, second day, just the Confederate move. The Union still has to move. Okay, what is the Union going to do? I think Sweeney is going to stay put. And Well, Sweeney did move. Sweeney's in pretty good shape to take some guys out. He could come. Yeah, let's see. Sweeney got it. Let's turn. Rotate right and move 1. Okay, Sweeney loses 1, so Sweeney's at 210. Hildebrandt and... let's just keep pounding away here. Okay, Hildebrandt stays the same, but Veach and Williams are going to lose 1. Actually, no, they're not. Veach and Williams are going to stay put. So Williams will now be at a 610, and Veach will be at a 811. Okay, stays the same. Well, man, they don't have a lot going for them there. Stay put. Just stay put. Okay. This guy will move. This guy will come out of column and move. That's Amon, I think. Yeah. Amon, I'm on. Let's see. Amon is at 07 because he went out of column. And then Tuttle will fight 1-6. And I don't think Hildebrandt's they're not going to attack. I don't think there's any reason to attack here with Hildebrandt. Okay. He'll come out of column. Boyle. Where is Boyle? And I don't even have Boyle here. Okay, let's do something here interesting. Let's insert a row. Find Boyle over here on the sheet. Boyle has 14. Wow, Boyle's tough. Okay, glad I added him. Since he came out of column, we'll say he's going to fight. Delete. Let's see. Fight. Fight. We'll say fight for Smith and those guys. And then Chamberlain. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6. We'll just go right there and stay in column. We'll go 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Okay, everybody's moved there. Sweeney, we moved. Those guys are attacking. This guy's attacking. He's moved. He's just going to stay right up here, Tuttle is, and try to heal up. It's a nice little safe spot. Tuttle, 1 at 6. Remove the route marker. Okay. We're just going to stay right here. And then I'm going to move I'm actually going to move here. 1, 2, 3, 4. There, that'll suppress. If anything, they're going to threaten the Confederates here with the ships. They got to do something this game. That's good. Okay. Let's go move these guys. So I've got T2, 2nd Division Artillery. So 4-6, so they're still at 4-6. So they're there for 2. And the turtle is 6. I guess I could have moved this guy. Could he move one more? That's okay. He's okay. And then Ammon, 7. And T3, 3rd Division is a 3, I guess, 0-3. Okay, so 3 for that artillery battery down there. And finally, Whittlesey. 0-10. It's like, where did he come from? He had 10 too, so we've got 8, 15, 25, 26, 27, 28. Johnson, Gladden. And Gladden's not going to be so Gladden. Gladden's at 5, and then they have 6. So -1 for having Johnston, so it's 28-6. That comes out to be 1, 2, 3, 4 to 1 odds -1. So 4 to 1, 4. 1P, 2R. Okay, Gladden. Let's see what damage Gladden takes. First of all, they only take 1 point off the top because they have that cav unit with them, so they're 4-8, but they got to take 2 off the bottom. So they're now at 6-8. 1, 2, 3, 4. We put a route on them. And definitely going to move here. Actually, I'm going to move here. Okay, but I don't know if I want to move any further. Yeah, I do. Okay, yeah, he'll just move there because we want to push hard to push these guys back. And I may just play this until it looks like the Union's got this pretty much wrapped up. If there's just a couple units left over here, then so be it. Okay, the next one's Buell. So Buell gives a +1. We've got a cav unit, so that's worth 1 point. And we've got Hazen, 1-8. So he has 7 points. So 7. So they have 8 points total Union. And then Jackson has 7 points. 1 to 1 odds. +1. 6. Okay, there's no Jackson doesn't have a leader, so that's not going to make a difference there. But they do take a 6. Go away. 1 to 1, 6. 1P, 2W. Okay. 1, 2. And okay, Jackson. We figure out what happens to Jackson here. So Jackson has to take 1 off the top and 2 off the bottom. So they're now at 2-6. Oop, I forgot these guys. Well, let's change and see what my odds are. 0-2. 2nd Division, they added 2, so that's 8. 9, 10. And they also had Boyle. Was Boyle 14? 13. Okay, 13. 15, 16, and 13 is 29. And then Jackson, I said, had 7 points, 29 to 7. So that's actually going to be closer to 4 to 1 odds. So 4 to 1, and I ran a, what I roll? 4 to 1, 6. Okay, 4 to 1, 6 plus 1, 7. 4 to 1, 7. P2W. Okay, so 2W didn't change what happened to Jackson. It just means that these guys can move in without taking any damage. So, okay, that's interesting. This is a weird combat table, and I even think I fixed it a little bit. Smith and Lahman. Okay, Smith is worth 6. Smith's worth 5. Lahman is worth 7. So that's 12. And Clark is going to make it a -1. And Russell is at 611. 5. 5. So 2 to 1 -1. So 2 to 1, 2. 1 and 1. Okay. Russell loses 1 here off the bottom. Okay, Smith and Lahman. I'll say Smith's going to go ahead and take the 1 off the bottom. And nobody up there, nobody up there. Okay, there we go. There is the end of the first day, or first turn, first hour of battle. So the Union's starting to push back, and the Confederates really are pretty exhausted by this time. So if they didn't make it past that line on the first day, things are going to be pretty much a Union victory. So we will move to turn 2. Now, I just lost turn 2 and 3 of the game, but as this game moves so slowly, I think I can go over what happened, and I'll kind of wrap up everything that's gone on here. Basically, the Confederacy is just pretty much exhausted, and the only thing they can really do is either stay put and try to stay out of enemy zones of control so that they can gain some stragglers back, or just attack. And so that's kind of what I did over here. I kind of set to attack on the left flank as hard as I could with what units I had. And guys like Chalmers and Hildebrandt, and these guys were still involved pretty heavily. But again, they were eventually kind of pushed back a little bit. They're really just dying from attrition over here. At the same time, the Union was able to surround this little pocket of rebel resistance, and they're slowly taking the rebels out bit by bit. Basically, they can lose a point for every rebel point that is lost and win the game. Now over here, let's see, it was Buell that kind of was trying to move around behind a couple of Confederate units that were left over here, but fresh forces like Boyle and Kirk were able to eventually eliminate this unit. So that was pretty much it. All that's left is Anderson and Stewart, and they're becoming pretty weak and down. So I would guess they'll be surrounded and eliminated pretty quickly. And down here, I think the only thing that could happen with some routes, you could move them past the line, the second day line, to win the game. But they'll probably be pretty much eliminated by then. So I think I'm pretty much done with this game. This game's gone really long. The box and the BGG page said this lasted like, I think, 3 hours, 4 hours. It ends up, I've played this 5 times now, and it's always ended up with the campaign game running at least 8 to 12 hours. So it's quite a bit longer. It's not a complex game, but it's got a lot of little fiddly bookkeeping that needs to be done. I'm ambivalent on the game itself. I think there's some really cool things. The straggler rules are good. It's not a hard set of rules to learn. Like I say, the rules are a little bit thin. They don't address a lot of situations that come up in play, which is a problem. And the fiddly bookkeeping eventually has driven me off. I'm not sure I really want to play a Shiloh game that lasts this long. If I really want to play something like that, there's like a terrible Swift Sword system with Into the Woods, which is a GMT game that runs a lot longer and is very complex. And I think I would probably try something like that. I'm still looking for the holy grail of Shiloh games out there. I've always been kind of interested in the battle, and I visited the battlefield, as I mentioned, and I think that I would like to find kind of a medium-weight Shiloh game out there. This one just doesn't do it. I doubt that I'll probably ever play this again. So anyway, that's what I got. Hopefully I'll have a little bit shorter game that I'm a little more excited by next week. So again, thanks for listening. If you've played this and you like it, comment down below about what you like about it. I'd like to hear it. Or I know there's quite a few things I've probably done wrong playing this game, but if you see stuff that, point that out too, because it's kind of interesting to say and to see that and go, oh yeah, that makes sense now. Anyway, I'll talk to you next week. Thanks a lot, and bye.